5 years ago, more than 1,000 people went to jail for January 6th. The man who sent them there is now president again. The real story is not about what happened that day, but who was held accountable and who never was. My name's Mason. I am a progressive political commentator, and I've partnered with Courier to talk to you about the most important news of the day. Most Americans know the basic facts of January 6th, the same day Congress was certifying the results of the 2020 election, where then President Donald Trump lost both the popular vote and the Electoral College significantly. Despite this, Donald Trump claimed that he won the 2020 election with zero evidence and energized his supporters to meet at the Capitol steps, demand that they stop the steal, and pressure lawmakers into submission to stop the certification of the election. One of the foundational principles of a functioning democracy is the peaceful transition of power. And this was the first time in American history that a sitting US president denied the election results and refused to certify an election that he lost. Now, the people that broke into the Capitol were nearly 2,000 people from tens of thousands who met for the Stop the Steal rally. And these 2,000 people desecrated congressional offices. They fought with Capitol Police, and they demanded that lawmakers abandon the Constitution and certify the fake claim that Donald Trump won the election. This insurrection resulted in over 1,200 people being convicted for January 6 related crimes, hundreds of them being sent to prison, and the realization that so many Americans that follow right wing news was getting fed a complete lie. These were not politicians or regular political operatives. These were everyday Trump supporters that genuinely believed that the country was being stolen from them. And they believed it because the president continued to echo these lies. At the rally, Trump said, "Fight like hell to protect your country." He shrouded this corruption in the mythology of American patriotism and said that they would be remembered as heroes if they stopped the certification of this election and rightfully granted it to him. This type of framing and mythology makes it so every action is justifiable. If you have the country being stolen from you and you have this cabal of treasonous Democrats who are forcing an election that is not legitimate, what would be required in order to stop that? What wouldn't you do for your country in the minds of a lot of these Trump supporters? But we need to be clear that this was not just Donald Trump who orchestrated January 6th. 147 Republicans still voted to deny the outcome of the 2020 election after the events of January 6th. After all of the windows were smashed, after Capitol Police was beaten, after congressional offices were desecrated by violent insurrectionists, 147 Republicans still said that those actions were justifiable and that the 2020 election was worth reconsidering despite zero evidence. This was not just about confusion. This was a deliberate choice made by these elected officials to deny their constitutional duty. But immediately after the attack, we need to name names for those that actually tried to stand by the Constitution. Mitch McConnell said that Trump should be morally responsible for the actions of January 6th. Kevin McCarthy, then the House Minority Leader, said that Trump bears responsibility. Lindsey Graham said enough is enough. And Mitt Romney and Ben Sass said that this was unequivocally provoked by Donald Trump. They knew the truth, they said it out loud, and when it was time for them to hold Donald Trump accountable, they went back on their own words. But Republican pundits will tell you that, of course, Donald Trump won the 2020 election, and you were a fool to deny that he won it in a landslide. Let's take a look at what that evidence is.
Look, all I want to do is this. I just want to find 11,780 votes, which is one more than we have, because we won the state.
Mr. Secretary, was the president here asking you for exactly what he wanted? One more vote than his opponent.
What I knew is that we didn't have any votes to find. We had continued to look. We investigated, like I just shared the numbers with you. There were no votes to find. That was an accurate count that had been certified. And as our general counsel said, there was no shredding of ballots.
Well, there you have it, folks. Who needs hardline evidence or on the ground reporting when you can have the nominee himself just say that he won the election? You just need 11,000 votes. That's all that's required. It doesn't matter if that 11,000 votes pops out of thin air or it doesn't exist. We need to find 11,000 just to show that, of course, Donald Trump won the state of Georgia. This is legitimately what people rioted against the Capitol for. And it is a sad reality that folks believed the mythology of Donald Trump in order to seek out this type of political violence. We know that one of Donald Trump's main strategies for avoiding accountability is deny, deny, deny. And he has been very consistent in saying that he won the 2020 election with zero substantial evidence. But there is one time where he admitted that he might have lost the election. Let's take a look at this clip.
The second time, I got millions more votes than I got the first time. So I was told if I got 63 million, which is what I got the first time, you would win. You can't not win. And I got millions of more votes than that, and lost by a whisker. But and look,
There you have it. Video evidence of Donald Trump claiming that he lost the 2020 election. The only instance that we have on camera where he admits reality. And it proves that the tens of thousands of people who met at the Stop the Steal rally, the 2,000 people who breached into the Capitol doors, and the 1,200 people who were held for January 6 related crimes did it for nothing. They did it for the ego of an old, bitter man who is too insecure to admit that he lost an election fair and square. The reason why we still talk about January 6 5 years later is because this set a dangerous precedent that political leaders can demand undying support from their supporters for false narratives. We cannot deny the outcomes of free and fair elections because we don't like the results. And Donald Trump needs to be held accountable, where he never was. We won't see that during the Trump administration because we're actively seeing the Department of Justice deny the results once more. But whoever wins in 2028 needs to hold Donald Trump and his allies accountable because democracy is not held up by institutions or norms. It is held up when people demand accountability for it and they protect the integrity and institutions that keep it intact. January 6th is not just an event that happened, it is a reminder that people need to organize together and protect democracy at all costs.